Hi guys, welcome to Football with Brownie. Hope you're well, keeping safe, keeping each other safe, and spreading the love in this big bad world of ours. Before we go any further, please like, share, most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Remember, subscription is free. If you haven't done it yet, hit that subscriber button right now. We have got, I've been waiting for this for weeks and months. I can't wait. Very, very special guest. Everton and Wales footballing legend, and someone from my day of growing up, falling in love with a football game, and none other than Kevin Ratcliffe. Hi, Kev. How are you doing?
How are we doing, pal? You okay?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. I just want to say thank you very much. I know I've probably been a pain in the backside for the last few days. Just want to say thank you very much for giving us your time, really.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Kev, well, it actually was the anniversary, wasn't it, of your testimonial the other day? 30 years, wasn't it?
I think it might have been longer than that. I think it was 33 years.
Oh, right, okay.
So, yeah, it's around about 88, 89. So, yeah, 33 years. Not that I knew. It was my daughter that was tweeting it about. So, I'm putting pictures of herself and her brother up on Twitter. And it was I know it was the 4th of April. I know it was snowing. It was a really bad day. The only thing that could have capped it all off was maybe a bus strike and the tunnel closing, but that didn't happen. But them days, sort of testimonials weren't really sort of looked upon as an entertaining game, and there's a poor gate really. When you think there's only about 13,000 there, but that's the way it is.
No. Well, we'll have a chat about your career. And a few of the members, as I say, the members have just put a few questions in which they'd like you to answer, and then we'll just take it from there, really. Kevin, born in Flintshire, you joined Everton as an apprentice in 77. You made a debut in 1980 against Man United at Old Trafford. That would have been a bloody big stage to make a debut.
Yeah, I think there was on the night 55,000. You've got to remember, people these days might frown upon that as saying, that that's not really a big gate for Man United, but I think it only held about 60 then.
Yeah.
Something like that.
The Stretford end, isn't it?
Yeah. And times were hard. In the 80s, Liverpool, Manchester, London, Birmingham, everybody suffered. And people couldn't afford to go to football matches as much as maybe they can do now. I'm not saying they can afford to go to football matches now, but for me, that was a big gate. It's better than making it in front of 15,000, 55,000. But for me, the biggest roar of the night was when they made a substitution, and Jimmy Greenough come on. He'd been injured, and he was a crowd favourite, and that was like one hell of a roar. So I can't remember who they took off, but I know he played against Joe Jordan and Lou Macari.
So, don't mention Joe Jordan. Come on, Kev.
I know. But, that was my start of my career, really, playing against sort of seasons internationals.
Yeah.
Jimmy Greenoff. There was his brother who played in midfield. Martin Buchan, who was a bit of an idol of mine, Martin Buchan, and I've made my debut against him.
Yeah. No, took a couple of years for you to become a regular in the first team, but you actually started at left back, didn't you, Kev, rather than centre back?
No, everybody gets it. It's. I think that's what it tells you on Wikipedia, but Wikipedia's never always right.
Right, okay, I'll take it back. Before my time, you see.
Do you know what? People mention to it all the time. You were a crap left back. And it wasn't until you went centre back that you were. I actually played my debut was at centre back. My second game for Everton was a semi-final against West Ham at Ellen Road, and I played centre back then. I played centre back in the next game against Tottenham after the semi-final, and that was it till the next season. And I think I got in as a left back so far into the season under Gordon Lee because they weren't happy that they didn't have any cover in that area for John Bailey. Right, So they said, "Do you fancy playing there?" I played there maybe once in the reserves, and it was to Mark. I'm trying to remember his name now. I know him very well, and I've forgotten his name. It was a lad that played for Liverpool. He was a flying winger, black winger. What's his name? He was flying. They put me out there to mark him.
Yeah.
And that's the only time really I'd played left back.
Well, it just shows don't believe everything you read on
No,
Wikipedia.
that's right. But no, I was always a centre back. I went to the club as a centre back. I played for Wales, sort of at every level at centre back.
Yeah.
But never at left back. So, but then when I broke in, played left back, started playing for Wales. I played for Wales at left back when I got into the side. But
Okay.
I never ever see myself as a left back. I was too, how can I say, erratic. My quality on the ball wasn't as good as what it was later on in my career, I felt.
Right.
And I hated it. I hated left back. I didn't like what was expected of me. And the only time I enjoyed it was the end of my career.
Okay.
I seemed to know the position more, maybe mainly because of experience, maybe because I'd slowed down a bit. And I quite enjoyed playing it later on in my career, but not early on in my career. No, I wasn't a left back.
Good. Well, well, to be honest, I've never heard this before, but 23 become first team captain at 23 years old.
I think it might have been 22.
20, well, geez, even
Yeah,
better then. Even better.
yeah.
You always say the captain should be one of the most experienced players on the pitch. Well,
I
but
thought that. Yeah, I
well,
thought.
what were the older players? Did they just accept that or?
Well, they must have. I can't really remember sort of any fallouts or any question marks over it.
Hmm,
What you've just said. Then I remember the first time I ever got a captaincy was like in the August before I got sort of to be captain in a league game. Was a pre-season game, and Mark Higgins was the captain. Got left out pre-season game. Rested more than anything
yeah,
because you don't play in every pre-season game, and it was up at Dundee United, and I remember Howard turning around, saying, threw me the armband and said, "Right, leave them out, rats." And I'm looking around, at the room, and David Johnson was there, like called Mickey Walsh, and experienced players.
yeah.
And I'm just looking around, Billy Wright. I'm looking around at him. I'm thinking, why me? And that was exactly the same when Mike England gave me the job to be captain, where I
Yeah.
was 23, I think, up in Scotland. And he threw me he told me I was going to be captain just before the game. And I'm looking around Joey Jones, Mickey Thomas, Robbie James, Alan Curtis,
Yeah.
people like
Yeah.
that in the room. And I'm thinking, why me? Again, and it was quite a shock at the time, but something that, I'd been captain, of youth teams before and, the reserve teams, but never the first team. That was a first. And like I said, it was taking me as back as much as maybe the supporters.
What was that one of the master strokes from Howard Kendall? Because that shortly then that kicked off that period kicked off the most successful period in Everton's history.
Yeah.
And going into 83, 84, and that infamous game against Oxford. Now,
Yeah, it
many
was.
people say, Kev, that goal by Adrian Heath. Do you, is it as big a turning point as people think, or people would say?
Well, people remember that game, I think, because obviously of the way we sort of went behind and then got back into the game with Adrian Heath getting that back pass from Kevin Brock. Makes a great story,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
I think that was something like the fourth or fifth round of the League Cup. I can't remember what sort of because you've got to remember the Milk Cup days. You played midweek football, wasn't it?
yeah,
That
yeah,
was it, midweek. and it was a night game. Yeah, and they caused us a few problems, but one that maybe a draw was a fair result, and we got that. But for me, that was not the game that turned it around.
Okay.
Yeah. The game for me that turned it around was a game in November. It was the third round of the League Cup against Coventry City at Goodison, and there was only 9,000 fans in the ground. And the reason there was 9,000 fans we were in the bottom six of the championship at the time, as it was called. And things weren't going well. And we knew that if we didn't win that game, that Howard Kendall could have been sacked in the morning. In fact, most probably would have been. So we go into the game 1-0 behind, and 20 minutes to go. Howard decides to make the substitution. What you got to remember is there was only one sub then.
Yeah.
And that sub was Peter Reid. Peter Reid come on within 5 minutes. We scored an equaliser through Adrian Heath, and in the last minute of the game, Graham Sharp got the winner, and we won the game 2-1. The following morning, Colin Harvey promoted Colin Harvey from reserve team coach to first team coach. And on the Thursday, we signed Andy Gray. The following week, Derek Mountfield got in the side because Mark Higgins was injured. If we hadn't won that game, Howard Kendall wouldn't have been at the club. Yeah. That's a license. I say none of that would have happened. From that day on, we went from a bottom six side to a top six side, getting to an FA Cup final, a League Cup final in the same year. The following year, we won the Champions European Cup Winners' Cup, and the league went from a team of 2 internationals to 10 internationals.
Oh, it was a fantastic era. My first ever football game was actually the '85 FA Cup final.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we'll start. Unfortunately, it was a defeat for Everton. But looking back now, Kev, you won the Cup Winners' Cup. There's no way in modern day football you would have had the FA Cup just 2-3 days later. It would have been at least a week in between.
Yeah. Never really look at it like that now. There's a lot of things been said about that if we would have had that little bit of break, that we would have been, we would have won the treble.
Yeah.
Type of thing. I felt all right on the day against Manchester United. It's not until later on that you start hearing stories about sort of Graham Sharp and Andy Gray feeling really, really tired. I didn't. It wasn't destined. Kevin Moran getting sent off, first player to get sent off in an FA Cup final. And believe me, in them days, it's got to be horrendous if you got sent off. But there was a new rule just brought in, and if you were free in on goal, and somebody brought you down, it was a sending off offence. It was, and like I say, I think it was the first of its kind, especially at Wembley. But the big turning point for me in the game was the likes of Frank Stapleton, who I quite enjoyed playing against, and Mark Hughes. Frank Stapleton went to centre back and had a great game. That's a story that I remember. Everybody's got their own little story, haven't they? But no, it's a bit of a shame that we didn't get that extra break, maybe. But God, at the time you don't think about that because
no,
if you're successful, you're going to have more gains than anybody else.
Right.
And that's what I still can't understand now. They're moaning like mad now. They get paid more than they should be getting paid, and they're moaning that they're playing too well. I don't think the players moan as much. I think the managers moan.
Yeah, you're right.
They moan that they haven't got time to prepare the team. We're playing 42 games a year in the league.
And only having one substitute.
One substitute, and then you've got your cup games, then you've got your replays, and then you might have an extra replay. I think we played Sheffield Wednesday in 3 replays one year. And not one of us moaned, because every time we played, we had an appearance money.
Yeah.
So, we were getting extra money, extra bonuses every week. So you wanted to play. You didn't want to. You didn't want to be sort of like, I'll rest this week. I'll accept being dropped because I'm being rested. And you look at them, and you're thinking like, well, they get more rest than what we ever did. The pitches are what's her name are so smooth, and the training pitches are great. They're training on better pitches than what we played on. They got fitness coaches and all this, and we never had any of that. And like I say, I can't remember after the age of 18 getting cramp. And these guys get cramp now, and they've got nutritionists, they've got fitness coaches. Well, what the hell are they doing? They're not doing the job properly if they're picking up cramp and, they feel tired today.
Yeah. Hey, I tell you what, you must be reading my mind every time I watch a football game, Kev, because
well, they get more rest than ever now.
Yeah.
Because
I'd love to go back to the one
very rarely was there 98 minutes played in a game when we played.
Yeah.
So right. You've got to remember them 98 minutes. You're not playing for 98 minutes. It's stop, start.
Yeah.
I always remember watching a game Cardiff played, believe it or not, when I was doing a bit of punditry for BBC Wales. And, I noticed that how long the ball was in play under Neil Warnock's side, because the amount of times it took for the centre-back to get up the field to take a long throw.
Yeah.
At 45 minutes, I bet you the ball wasn't in play for 25.
Well, the referee was in the local air traffic control centre.
Yeah.
Under some of the games with Warnock, I tell you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, apparently somebody put UFOs on the ball once. Printed it on the thing. I don't know who that was, but...
Kev, going back the previous year against Watford, okay, taking blue spectacles off now. If you were a referee, would you have given that goal with Andy Gray header or not?
I think if you see it time and time again, then you would say that it was a goal. I don't think that Andy Gray actually touched the keeper.
Okay.
I think he's, look, I could understand if it was given.
Yeah.
Because it was Andy Gray, because Andy Gray used to go for everything.
Yeah.
And he would foul. There's no doubt about it. But I actually thought on the day that, the referee could have easily have blown. But I thought it was a brave decision. And when you look at it and you're thinking, it's not a foul. The keepers must be a good 3 or 4 inches bigger than Andy Gray anyway.
Yeah.
And it's literally, I don't think he's got it clean in his hands. And if he's headed it just as it's getting into his hands. I thought it was a great decision by the referee when I look back. I thought it was a better decision on the day. But yeah, I can't forever think. I think look, you're asking the wrong person. Ask him what.
Oh, I know.
You ask John Barnes.
Yeah.
See what he'd say.
With Steve Sherwood.
Yeah.
Well, the 85 European run ended in Rotterdam, but that game against Bayern Munich in the semi-final at Goodson Park, Kev, unfortunately I was too young to watch it on live, so I've had to watch it time and time again over the years on replay.
It's got to be X-rated. It's got to have like a watershed on it. After 9 o'clock, you can only watch this. Wait till the kids go to bed, because that was it was World War III.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. And that was the great thing about. I wouldn't just say our side, but I would say every side that won the league round about sort of then, 70s, 80s. We're talking about either ourselves or Liverpool. I think even the Villa side, they could mix it.
Yeah.
They could play. You look at the Villa side of 1980, was it?
Yeah.
I think it was 80, 81, something like that, when they won the league. You look at the Notts Forest side when they won the Champions League twice. Them teams could mix it, but they could also play. They had some great quality players. Yeah. And that is the same with us. I think, if you look through the decades of football, and then I think everybody remembers our team from 1 to 11. I think it's made easier because you wore 1 to 11 and not number 44 on your back. But, they remember that era and that team. I think a little bit like the Blackburn team when they won the Premiership that year with Shearer and that in the side. You know, you can name that side more or less. So it's it was a great achievement. But like I say, you had to mix it, and that's what we did on the night. And they tried to, you know, they were they could look after themselves as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think they realised that, you know, we at Everton had you know, some fairy characters in the side. You know, Andy, Reedy, Sharpie, Pat Van Der Now. You know, we could all, myself as well, all looked after ourselves in one way or another. And yeah, you know, we used to say, you know, when I mix it, yeah, we'll put up against you. You know, we'll fight anybody on the day. You know, the Wimbledon sides, you know, we weren't in fear of them bullying us. You know, that we just knew that we had to match them for that, and then we knew they were more skillful than them. You know, because that's all they had. You know, the likes of Wimbledon, that's all they had. So that's what they tried to do, rough and tumble. They weren't as good as you technically. They weren't as a player, but what they were is they liked the fight, and they like to drag you into that fight, if you know what I mean. A bit like the rugby matches. That there's better teams than others, and the only way that we can get is that if we can ruffle them. You know, let's get in amongst them. Let's sort of.
Well, people are claiming that with Atletico against Man City the other night. You know, Man City have got far more technical players, but Atletico were trying to use the dark arts of putting them off.
Yeah, but I think if you look at it technically, they're a good side. Atletico. But most probably know that if they come out and try to play like they do from the off, but you look at City, how hard they thought it was to actually break them down.
Yeah. Two banks of 5 at one point, wasn't it?
Yeah. You know, they just and go and break what they did to Liverpool. Yeah. You know, they just sort of like, and then when they want to open you up, they can open you up. They got some great players, by the way. I mean, don't underestimate them. They think
definitely
they're just people that can just sort of back off and everything. 1-0's a great scoreline for them, by the way.
I think so.
You know what? I think so. You know, they've only conceded one away from home. So yeah, it'll be interesting, no doubt.
Yeah,
I know they've got to score 2 goals, but I do think that to go through, Man City have got to score.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Hey, I had the correct score on Chelsea Real Madrid last night. 3-1 Real Madrid, 33-1.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, keeper's had a bit of a mare, really, hasn't he?
Oh,
yeah, that's not the first time, by the way, as well.
You know what? We can go back to our day. Keepers nowadays, Kev, they scare the shit out of me sometimes as a supporter.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, you know, they're asked to play. They're like maybe a sweeper, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, that a Baresi or something at the back that can use the hands.
Doesn't always come off.
It's it's knowing when to play and not to play. I mean, you know, that it's not an elementary mistake, really. He's not put under pressure in the way. He's just kicked it.
Yeah,
completely. I mean, it's just a shocking mistake that really he wonders how it's happened on the day, you know, because it's most one of the easiest passes that he should have played. You know, but they've got to be that sort. Especially if you want to play out from the back, you've got to play like that. It does scare me a bit when I see Everton trying to do it. I must admit. Yeah.
Going back to the '86 season, Kev. Unfortunately, Everton were runners up on both the cup and the league. At one point, Everton were well on course to win the league, and it just
we're 2 games away from the double.
Yeah.
Oxford away. By the way, that's not the league cup we were on about, or the Milk Cup as it was. No. This is a league game. And Gary Lineker scored 40 goals that year and must have had up-teen chances before in that game and never scored. And the big talking point about it was that Gary Lineker, they'd forgot to pack his boots.
Yeah, I just wrote this down.
Yeah,
to ask you about
I can't remember, and he had to borrow somebody else's boots. So they were his lucky boots, and he didn't have them on the day, and he was banging goals in for fun all year, you know, and just didn't find the back of the net that day. So that game, if we win that game, we win the league. because I think Liverpool won it by a point or 2 points, something like that.
Yeah.
But if we win that game, we win the league, right? And then if we win the FA Cup final, we win the cup. So 2 games away from the double, and Liverpool won their games and won the double.
Oh, I tell you what, I was crying my eyes out after that FA Cup final, and I probably
Yeah,
wasn't the only one.
yeah, yeah.
With Lineker going into that team, Kev, um, was it a more direct approach?
Yeah, well, believe it or not, yes. Even
Yeah,
though Andy Gray wasn't in the side.
yeah,
So Andy left the side. What people don't remember is that the quality that we used to hit into Andy and Sharpie was mainly into the body, not into the air. So
right,
they were
okay,
knocking things on, playing balls into the feet. Andy Gray had a great touch. And I didn't realise until he'd come how good of a footballer he was, as in, controlling a ball, and what a great passer. And he was
yeah,
left-footed. He was. He'll tell me he's right-footed now, Andy. But that's what the quality of the side is, that they think that we would have been more direct with Andy Gray. But what you got to
yeah,
remember is Andy couldn't run. So we couldn't play the ball long for him to run into channels. He'd try,
yeah,
and he'd do his best to get there and put people under pressure. Little Adrian Heath played. So, little balls into Adrian and, mixing it up, going short, going long, whatever. We played better football. And then Gary Lineker come. And because he had pace, we used to sometimes just knock balls over the top for him. I must admit, I had a really, really good understanding with Gary Lineker on the
yeah,
ball. Free kicks and everything. We just used to have this eye contact, and he just used to spin and go, and I just used to knock it in. He turned my bad balls into good balls,
okay,
So
yeah,
he was a good player. We were unfortunate that year that we never won anything with him in the side. But what
right,
you've got to remember is, in them days, we bought him for about 800 grand, was it?
yeah, something like that,
And we
somewhat
sold him
realistic.
for 1.6 or
Yeah,
1.8. We've made over £1 million on a player. Now, in them
yeah.
days, that
Oh,
was
I
a hell
know, I
of good,
know.
that was good business. Uh,
I actually, my first visit to Goodson Park was that season,
mm,
and it was the home game against Aston Villa, and I was hoping Andy Gray would play in that game, but he
yeah,
didn't play. Everton won
right.
2-0.
Hmm.
Sharp and Lineker scoring, uh,
Right.
and I mean that transfer to Barcelona, you're dead right. I mean, in those
Mm.
days, the profit in which the club made was
Yeah,
unreal.
well, there was an immense amount of profit. You've got to remember, I was talking before about gates, how low the gates were.
Yeah,
You won't believe how low the gates were. But, times were hard in the 80s.
yeah,
We had more people unemployed than we've ever had. We've had the miners' strike and things like that. So it was very difficult for people to go and watch matches. And you know what Scousers are like? Christ, they get in any way they could. So I didn't. I think we introduced kitmen to the world because that's how they got in. Used to carry the skips from the bus. I'm sure there was a few empty skips with bodies in there, so that when they walked down the tunnel into the ground.
it well, going on to the '87, and it's the last time Everton have won the championship, unfortunately.
Mm.
Um, well, did it seems Guy Lineker left, then Wayne Clark come in,
Hmm.
and the transition went very smoothly, as it did from
Well,
Gray to Lineker.
I was surprised. I'd known about Wayne Clark for years because I played against him at Wembley when I was a 15-year-old for Wales
Okay,
against England schoolboys. And he was this next up, and him and Clive Allen and I think Andy Ritchie were all the strikers playing for the under
yeah,
15s. What a strike force that was. And Clarkey was most probably technically the best one out of them all. But he never really went on. Played for Wolves, played for Birmingham. And then he come to ours, and I'm thinking, I'm not too sure. When he was younger, he was supposed to be the next. But I tell
right,
you what, he come to our place, and he was. You realise how good of a finisher he was. He had everything in his locker as a striker. He was good at holding the ball up. good at taking a foul. Technically, like I said, he was very, very good.
Well, it was just a birthday present, really. I'd go and watch because Cardiff were in fourth division, so my dad would take me watch Everton once a year. And that season, he actually took me to Highbury when Wayne Clark lobbed Luke in.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, it was a terrible game, but that
Well,
goal was something special.
Well, especially on the pitches he used to play on, they're very bobbly, and that was round about, I would imagine, February, March time when that game was.
Yeah.
So, they've been battered all season, more or less, with the games that they played, and obviously the technology wasn't as good as what it is now to get that smooth pitch. It was a great execution, but that's what Wayne was. Like I say, he could do things like that. He was like his. I think it was his brother, wasn't it, Alan? Was Alan his brother or his uncle?
Oh, he played for Leeds, didn't he?
Yeah, Sniffer Clark.
Yeah.
Very similar. If you look, they were very similar in looks as well. So it must have been brother.
Yeah. I never forget that goal because I was actually in the home end on the side, and I had a brilliant view on it. Like the halfway line or whatever.
I did as well.
Kev, unfortunately, because of height, I will say for the rest of my life that Everton, in my opinion, were the team that got hit the worst with the European ban. Would you back that up?
I think there were two clubs.
I don't think
two clubs. The two clubs that suffered most were Liverpool and Everton. And we've never recovered from it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And we've never even, no, we haven't. I don't think we've ever recovered from it. People would say, well, you won the cup in '95, but no, I'm one of them that anybody can win the FA Cup, believe it or not. The opportunity is, you look at the teams that have won it. Look at Wigan. They've won it. It's a luck of the draw.
Yeah.
Right the way through. And then obviously take your chance when you do. You need luck. You need luck.
Yeah.
And especially if you decide like a Wigan, you look at Cardiff, they got to the final one year.
I know. I can't remember the game, but yeah.
So, you look at that and look who they played in the semi-final. Barnsley.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I know.
It wasn't a better opportunity for one of them two sides, a Barnsley or a Cardiff.
We didn't play a Premier League. Oh, we played Middlesbrough, wasn't it? And they were basically relegated.
Well, I think it's one of them that Whittingham had a great game, didn't he? Scored a great goal. It was one of them days for him. Unfortunately, sorry to hear about the loss, but no, what a tremendous play. But no, I always think that is. Look, I mean, we weren't helped by the government. They wanted us out of Europe. There was a big, horrible problem in Britain with hooliganism. But you've got to remember that Italy have had it, Turkey have had it, Holland have had it, but nothing's ever done about them. The smashing up buses and things like that in Turkey, and it still happens now. And they get away with it. They put sanctions on us, and the biggest disappointment for us was that we never got invited back, if you know what I mean. 3 or 4 years later when the ban was up. And I don't think Maggie Thatcher helped us one bit. They didn't want that pressure. She had so many problems going on in this country. Football was one issue that they didn't want to address. And it was an easy option for them, really, not to back the football side.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can actually go back and sue the European government for loss of earnings or whatever. But
on about we're still staying at that period because you're on about Thatcher because she was very close to the the Luton chairman. And one of the questions put over by our member AWAS is basically what were the plastic pitches to play on? Now I'll extend that question, right? What was Luton? Because Luton was always going to be a membership card scheme, and they banned away fans, didn't they, for many years because of Thatcher and so what was like Kenilworth Road like to play back then, both as a defender on plastic pitch.
It was a different type of game. The plastic pitches were nothing like they are now.
Yeah.
But they were rock hard. They were like concrete. I think the best way to explain it was that you have a look at the home record that QPR had when they had, I think Terry Venables was manager then. And, they used to play a high line because anything over the top with a long ball would just run out of play or it would run through to the goalkeeper. Psychologically, they used to come in before the game and put tubs of like Vaseline. And that's all it was. But it was a white Vaseline. And they'd say, look, if you get a burn on your legs for slide tackling, then put this on, it'll help you. And you're thinking, a burn? But then after about a year or two, because the plastic pitches weren't as far advanced as they are now, then, there'd be gaps appearing.
Yeah.
On them.
Yeah.
And the gaps would be a couple of inches. And I'm thinking, football's design, it's to play on grass. And then they allowed it at Oldham. I think Preston had it for a time.
Yeah, that's right.
QPR, like I said, Luton. And I'm thinking well, this is an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
Than anything. It's always hard to play away from home anyway. You've got home advantage. It's a good, but even more an advantage. And you have a look at QPR's record when they did have a plastic pitch, the record at home.
Yeah.
To what it was years gone by. I know they had one good year when the likes of Jerry Francis and all them players played for QPR that weren't too bad, but it's just so unfair. I still think it is now. I can understand why the Welsh Premier are playing it, because obviously the grounds are little grounds and they need to bring some sort of income into the football club. But for me, it's not for me. I hated playing on it.
It's a bit of a coincidence.
Hated training on it.
The moment in which they took up the pitches at both Luton and QPR, both clubs went relegated. Luton haven't returned to the top division since.
No, never even thought of that, really. Yeah, and
well, I have done a little bit of prep. We've
had a few weeks.
After that 87 side, I think, and because of a European ban, players and Howard Kendall himself wanted to get back into Europe, and it started, falling away there. Ken going to Sporting Gijón. And he
went to Bilbao. Well, how much revision have you done? He went to Bilbao.
He went Sporting Gijón, wasn't it?
No, it was Bilbao.
Yes, Bilbao, because you had a testimonial. What am I thinking about? Sporting Gijón. Who played for? Anyway.
Kevin Moran, Sporting Gijón.
Yeah. I lived in Spain for 5 years, Kev. I do apologize. I don't know why. But few players went up north to join the English Revolution.
Yeah. Well, we lost our right hand side.
Yeah.
Gary Stevenson, Trevor Stevens left together, went to Scotland. Howard Kendall left not because of European football, because Bilbao weren't playing European football. So he couldn't have gone for the European football. Yeah. He actually left because he didn't get what he wanted off the club.
Okay.
As in financially rewarded, I think, and a contract that he wanted. And I do believe that he'd agreed to sign for Bilbao because his contract was up. But the club went back to him and offered what he wanted. But he said, I've already agreed. He was quite an honourable man and saying, I've agreed to go to Bilbao. I want to sort of see what it's like. I suppose he wanted to test himself when he was there, because he was a really good coach, Howard.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the Bilbao players used to think of him when he come. I know the fans loved him. But yeah, that's why he went. And then, the likes of Peter Reid was coming, what they thought was the end of his career. But the players they were bringing in weren't as good as Peter. And maybe he was coming to the end of his career. They weren't as good as Peter at the end of his career. Yeah. You could actually say that we'd had bad recruitment from that era.
Okay.
The late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. I think we've had bad, shall I say, recruitment. You know, I look at players that were coming into the club, even under Colin Harvey, and I'm thinking, Colin, I didn't think that was your type of player.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, and Colin was a great coach, but couldn't really communicate with players. He wasn't a great communicator, and I'm sure he'll admit this, that wasn't his asset. His asset was really coaching and
Okay.
being a number two, really. You
Well,
know
which
that.
many coaches
Oh
prefer.
yeah, definitely.
You
You
know.
know, but for me, he was a fantastic coach, and without him, I wouldn't have had the career that I'd had.
Yeah. Well, we'll go on to you went to Dundee then for 4 games, Kev.
Is it only 4 games that I played
Yeah,
there?
yeah, yeah,
Bloody
yeah.
hell! I
No,
thought I was there for a lot longer than that. It felt a lot
well,
longer.
what was that experience? Did you just wanted to get football? Did you, because you
No,
come to?
I was. Do you know what? I wasn't contracted with Everton. I was out of contract.
Well, right, okay.
Yeah. So Simon Stainrod, who was the manager, ex
Yeah,
QPR,
next QPR, yeah.
Sheffield Wednesday player. Um, I was away on holiday with him, or not on holiday, but met him on holiday. And when I come back, he got in touch with the club, seeing if I wanted to go. That I didn't have any sort of income coming in, so the club had given me a month to month just to play and help the reserves. And I thought, well, yeah, I'll give it a go. But you know, it's a long way from Cardiff. It's a bloody long way from North Wales as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, you know, it was, and especially sort of early '90s. You know, it's
yeah.
um,
We didn't have low cost airlines and all that.
no,
And
no. Well, it was the airport shut at weekends in Dundee. So yeah, it was, and they put me in a pub, and I lived in a pub with Graham Ricks, Alan Gilzean's son, and I lived there for, well, I think it was a month or 2 months, something like that. I can't remember. But my uh, first game of the season was against Rangers at
okay,
M Park, and we won 4-2. We had a lad up front, young lad coming through called Billy Dodds, who had a
yes,
great career at
yeah,
Rangers. He played, and yeah, we'd like to say we won 4-2. But that team got relegated at the end of the year.
okay,
Dundee. The Rangers never lost a game that year. After that, but
yeah.
it was a great start. So that was my first game. My second game was Celtic, and then my fourth game was Aberdeen.
All right,
But
okay. Jeez, talk about
so
baptism of
you know,
fire.
I've been thrown in when I've not really played for quite a few months, and
Yeah,
but you know, it's a long, long way from home. You know,
yeah,
especially when you come into the end of your career.
yeah, yeah,
So
definitely. I can
yeah,
imagine. Then you went to Cardiff. You went to Cardiff.
yeah, that was that was out of the blue. That was Christmas time. I was all set to maybe sign for Carlisle.
Okay.
Um, Carlisle come in for me, but do you know when you get an inkling that I'm not too sure about this chairman? I think
Right.
was it Knighton? Somebody Knighton? You know, he tried to take over at Man United.
Oh, Michael Knighton. Yeah,
Michael, yeah. So
yeah,
he phoned me up, and I was speaking to him, and you know, the terms were yeah, okay, but I'm not too sure. You know, I've had that doubt in my mind. You know, and the next minute Eddie May phones me up. Do I fancy going down there? The terms were fine. You know, before I went down, well, as soon as I got down there, the terms had changed. Um, yeah, so what it was instead of getting paid per game, it was getting paid per week. And I said, all right, and it was the same as what I was going to get paid per game.
right. Okay.
And I said to him, well, what if we got 3 games in a week? You know, and
Jeez.
yeah, we come to an agreement. I signed, and then you know, look, got off to a great start. We actually played against Carlisle first game, and I scored.
Yeah, he scored. Yeah.
Most probably the best thing I ever did for Cardiff, because you know, the sort of recognition I got from the fans was fantastic. You know,
Yeah.
I've never felt, you know, the only other place I felt at home was at Everton. I must admit, Cardiff was like you know, going from, you know, your your hometown, not the hometown club, but my home club that I supported, going to another club where you're liked as much. And if, it was great. And it rejuvenated me a little bit because obviously I got into the Welsh side later on. All the lads were excited. I think, I'd like to think I got a little bit extra out of the players. But it sort of coincided with me signing, Phil Stant signing maybe 2 weeks before, just before Christmas. I signed after Christmas. Robbie James was there. Paul Ramsey, so there was a good blend. I stayed with a guy called Neil Matthews, the right back, who unfortunately got injured. Later on, he did his ankle really, and he was a good player. He could have been something, but he got a bad ankle injury, and it just sort of filtered away his career. You got Nathan Blake, who was an up and coming player who was playing on the left wing. Owen Griffiths, Chris Pike, Jason Perry, and that, so it was good playing the lad
for
in
many people my age, that 92 team was a favourite time for supporting.
But I got there, and then we went and won the league. We were sort of roundabout 10th in the league, and went from 10th, and Barnet were rolling away with it. And we beat them last game. Not beat them last game, but we won the last game of the season against Scunthorpe away, and I think we won the league. And it was a great thing for Cardiff City. And I do believe the following year, if Rick Wrong, as I called him, would have invested 250 grand into the club, bearing in mind he'd just won £1.5 million on the bookies for us getting promoted, then I think we would have done well in the league the following year. But it's just sort of went away. It was like as if we've gone into European Cup Winners' Cup. We had a great sort of 2 legs against Standard Liège. But I just got the feeling that I was used that following season through the manager and Rick Wright, with them not being honest and using me really until they were out of the European Cup Winners' Cup.
That's interesting.
I just left. I left and went to Nottingham Forest. They come in for me. I know Eddie wasn't happy because he wasn't picking me, but he expected me to stay there and sort of maybe fight for my place. I was like 33 years of age. For Christ's sake, I'm coming to the end of my career. I need to be playing. I don't need to be at Cardiff City babysitting. So I didn't leave really on good terms.
Well, it's unfortunate. To be honest, that was the first time I've heard of it.
Well, I arranged one morning. I remember one morning I wanted to sort out my contract issue because I wasn't signed on. And Eddie said, I'll see you after training. After training, he'd gone to Standard Liège or somewhere to have a look at them play. And I thought, well, thanks very much. I need a little bit more respect than that after the season that we've had, what we've done. And it just left a bitter taste in my mouth, to be fair, the way that, they were going about things after the season that we'd had the year before. Do you know, at the end of that last season, there was so sort of a disturbance between the players and the board, or, the chairman, because of the bonus system and everything that left a bitter taste. And because you've said one thing and you're trying to renege on other things, hold on. It's not right. And I think they were a bit disappointed because I think they went to tribunals and everything come out of how much every player was getting from the bonus system. And I don't think the chairman and the manager were happy with that, because obviously some people got more than others because they played more games and they had different deals than them.
As a Cardiff City fan, Kev, I do apologise.
Well, it's not your fault, is it?
No, I know, but I always thought that.
It doesn't matter what era Cardiff have been in or what decade. There's always somebody behind the scenes who's causing a problem.
You definitely got you got it right there, I tell you.
I think I had the chance to manage Cardiff, got offered the job, back in 95, I think, 96, something. That'd be about 96, 97, when I was at Chester. And
Okay.
I'm trying to think who it was. I don't know if they were Indian or Pakistani.
Oh, the Kumar brothers.
The Kumars, yeah.
Yeah.
But all they were offering me was the same deal that was on at Chester.
Manchester. Yeah.
You know, they were a little bit sort of upset that I actually turned them down. I think Ian Atkins got the job in the end. But it would have been a great club to manage. But
to be honest,
I wasn't uprooting my family for the same deal I was getting at Chester, and I had some good young players at Chester. I wasn't foreseeing what was going to happen at Chester in the end, but I really enjoyed my time at Chester. It was a great grounding for me as a manager, and you can look back and think like, maybe it was a good grounding, but you only went to Shrewsbury for 3 years, and that was it. You were out of a job. I didn't want to get back in. That's why.
Yeah.
I never applied for any other jobs. I just thought I don't need football anymore. I didn't like what I was seeing, or the way the players were being, the way that they were being protected, and the manager was losing control. I was always brought up that the manager was the best paid person at a football club.
Yeah.
Now he isn't. No, nowhere near. He was, and that's coming from maybe 2000, 2002.
Yeah.
Ever since that. So, how does the manager?
You think that's the downside to the Bosman ruling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of downsides because the Bosman ruling would never have happened here in this country. It was always secured in this country.
Yeah.
And if you think now it's agents that ruin the game. There's good agents. Don't get me wrong. There is good agents out there, but for every good agent, there may be 2 or 3 bad. Yeah. And what you've got to remember is the agents are looking after themselves and not looking after the club. They're looking after themselves and the player.
Yeah.
And I think there should be a rule that the agent should have no connection to the manager, i.e., being the agent, his agent as well.
Yeah.
Because where there's a lot of money, there's gonna be a lot of dodgy stuff going on.
Yeah. I know exactly.
And I see it now in the game all the time, and I'm thinking that manager's agents just brought that player into the football club. And that's not just on 1 or 2 occasions. If a manager has got a brother or a cousin, he should not be able to bring any of his players, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean, and I know you talk. I know
there's always money going to the agents.
Yeah. No, I get it. I really get it. Going on for just a small chat about Wales, Kev. 59 caps.
Yeah.
Right. One of the questions. From one of the members is, with Wales with qualification to the finals now easier for Wales and countries like Wales, do you think the Welsh team in UAD would beat the Welsh team who have qualified for the for French Euros or no?
That's no.
I know. No. Because
no,
come on, you did.
I think that's the best squad we've ever had.
Okay.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, we might have had 1 or 2 players that would have got in the side. We wouldn't have had 4 or 5.
Okay.
We definitely wouldn't have had 4 or 5. I think in depth we had more players playing in the Premiership then than we had when I was playing, or the equivalent to the Premiership. Yeah. And I think in depth as well. We had quality. And we found now a system and everything that is suiting us. Even now, the squad is good.
Yeah.
You think of players that come into the squad and you look at them and you're thinking, that's I've never heard of this guy, and puts in performance. I mean, look at the little midfield player that's at Luton. What's his name? Can't remember his name.
Morrow, is it Morrow?
Yeah, Morel. Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, what performances he's been putting in for us, and he can't get in his club side.
Yeah. No,
You know,
I
and
got
I'm
that.
like, that's hats off to the way that we've brought people through. I always feel in the Welsh squad, if whatever era you look at, the 80s, the 90s, 2000 onwards under Sparky, that we had good team spirit. We've always had good team spirit. We've always been together, and it's nice to see that we've carried it on.
Yeah.
I think even back to the 70s, they had good team spirit. But I do think that, that's 2016 squad was fantastic. I've never enjoyed myself watching a Welsh side play. It'd be, you've got your Rushes of the world, myself, Neville again. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Rush should get him because he's a centre forward that we've never really had.
Yeah.
And then you put the likes of Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey. Aaron Ramsey, for me, is something that we've never had, most probably never will have again. Yeah. People say, well, what about Gareth Bale? Well, Gareth Bale's Gareth Bale. He has got something different. He's
more of a key.
Yeah. But as in, a midfield player, I've never seen a midfield player like Aaron Ramsey in a Welsh shirt. He's got everything.
Yeah, got that. With the 85 Scotland game at Ninian Park, would you have given it handball?
No. Thought it was harsh. Very harsh.
I think nowadays, in today's rulings, it probably would be handball, wouldn't it? I suppose.
Yes, it would be. You'd most probably say, but the hand's in front of your face.
Yeah.
It's not up here. That's my argument is if it was up there, I could understand. But if it's there, why Dave's gone for it like that. I mean, some players do. I mean, I just used to go and close balls down and sort of like, if it's going to hit me in the face, it's going to hit me in the face. And so it's only a ball. But some players would turn the back on it and things like that and take their eye off the thing or put their hands up in front of the face. We always got told, if you're ever in a wall, okay, put your hands on your nuts, but not over your face. Why? Why do you need to cover your face? I mean, the ball's lighter than it's ever been now anyway, but you still see it. But no, I wouldn't have given it. No. I mean, the biggest thing in that game was in the 85 game against Scotland at Ninian Park was, and I can't believe, I played at Ninian Park 40, I think it was 45,000 there.
Yeah.
I played in front of 52,000 at Ninian Park against Brazil. And you're quite hard to believe that's how much the ground used to hold.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing in the game was in the first half that Jim Leighton, the keeper, lost his contact lens, didn't have a spare set. So Alan Ruff went in goal. And he was a decent goalkeeper. So if you have a look who was in goal in the first half, second half, it was Alan Ruff.
Right, because I've only watched highlights, but when you mentioned Jim Leighton, I thought to myself, hang on, I thought Alan Ruff was in goal.
Yeah. Well, he was at the. Yeah. But I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure when we scored. Was it Jim Leighton in goal? Because it was early on in the game. We scored too early.
It could well be actually.
Yeah. You learn something every day. See.
Yeah, you do. The Romania game. First game I've ever.
I wasn't there, mate.
No, but as the Welsh kind of unluckiness continued, that Romania game.
Yeah, I mean, it's really Nev's had a little bit of a stinker, hasn't he?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nev had owned up himself. Georgie Chadji had hit a shot really that Nev should have saved.
Yeah.
I don't know if he actually surprised him. I'd like to know what Nev thought of it. But when I seen it, I wasn't at the game. But when I seen it, I thought, oh, that's nuts.
Yeah.
And obviously the penalty miss, which was remembered more
than
their goal. because I think had you'd scored it, I think, he scores goals like that all the time. He was a fantastic player. Yeah.
I know. And then, a bit of a lull, a decade or two a lull, and then, as you say, that France tournament, Euro 2016 was it was incredible. It was incredible.
Yeah, I've been to some great matches. As a player, I've been to some great matches, but to experience something like that was something different.
Yeah.
I always remember the first game in Bordeaux and going around seeing all the supporters. I thought, the whole of Wales was there. But noticing how many supporters were in their 40s, 50s, 60s, because they most probably thinking, never see this again. We've waited so long for this. We've got to go. It wasn't, 20-year-olds going out. It was, grown men with families, grandparents and everything out there. It was just unbelievable. And, I don't think the players let the fans down. It was absolutely fantastic. The Belgium game was, I think the nervous I was in the Northern Ireland game is, that
to be honest, we didn't play well. I don't think we played well.
No, we didn't play well. And there was a little bit of magic from Gareth where he just got past the lad, put it in, and then we slotted it. But it was a nervous game. I thought they weren't bad, actually.
I know.
And their supporters were fantastic.
Oh, brilliant. The stadium was bouncing when they were doing that.
Wherever we went, I think everything about it, the way that, the FA went about it, where they based themselves in Dinard was fantastic. The way the guys dealt with the press was fantastic. And I do believe that the English FA have taken a leaf out of Wales's book on that to future tournaments. Right. So that's a good thing to know, that you've been sort of like an example to everybody. This is how you should be in front of the press, which was fantastic. It was just a joy. I told my wife I'll see her in 2.5 weeks, and 6 weeks later, I'm still in France.
Oh, I had the divorce papers on the table when I come back. I tell you.
Yeah.
No, it's good to see, because I'm very good friends with Mark Evans from Welsh FA.
Oh, right.
And it's good to see that he actually done his job properly for
it's about time. Waited a long time for that.
Going forward now, regarding Wales, we've got the hopefully we'll have a playoff final in June. What's your thoughts about that?
Well, I thought it was always going to be difficult against Austria.
Yeah, me too.
But the way that we addressed it, the only sort of thing is, I hope we don't think we're there. Or whoever we play. To be honest, I'd rather play Scotland than Ukraine, because if we do play Ukraine, they've beaten Scotland, and I think Scotland are on the up, and I think everybody would be behind Ukraine, for the sympathy vote. My biggest concern then is when we do qualify, that our big players play 2 games in a week. They've proved that they can't. Gareth Bale especially is, he's a 1 in 2 week game, I think. He's, his body doesn't take it, unfortunately. I don't know why that is, but he's just got this body that can't take. And what he's going to do between then and the World Cup, if we do qualify, is that he could be signing a month-to-month contract with Cardiff or something, or a game-to-game, just to keep fit. I think that's all he wants to do. I think that's all he wants to do is play for Wales. He's got no ambition to play, for Real Madrid. It must be very, very hard when you've won everything to keep yourself motivated. And, it's international football at the moment that's keeping him motivated. Most probably the Masters this week.
Just a couple of questions, Kev, just to finish off, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Stefan, remember Stefan, he's an Ipswich fan. And he's older than me, so he's going before my time. But he said, was it true that Bobby Robson was interested in signing you in the early days?
So I believe, and that's all I know. I think he was at Ipswich at the time, and apparently he'd come in for me. And I think there was another club as well called Stoke that come in, but Howard dismissed it. Didn't want it. I think they come in when I actually got into the side.
Right, okay.
Yeah, when I first started playing under Howard as a centre back, that they'd come in for me then.
Oh, okay, no worries. And we can't get away from it, Kev. The game last night, Everton Burnley.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts about current situation at Goodson Park?
It's shocking.
Yeah.
I said a couple of years ago when Sam Allardyce took over that Everton Football Club should never be in the position ever again. And then we played Tottenham, and four of the back five, plus the goalkeeper were there under Sam Allardyce, under under Marco Silva. So it hasn't been addressed. That back four the other night against Burnley, I don't think they're getting any other Premiership side.
Yeah.
I'm a great believer is that you maybe can have one person in your side that has been relegated.
Yeah.
But not 3 or 4. So I think we've got 4 at the moment. I'm not quite sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. Richarlison at Watford, Corey at Watford, Godfrey at Norwich,
and Pickford
at Sunderland. That's too many.
Holgate at West Brom on loan.
I suppose you could do. Yeah.
You know what?
I mean, and the other thing, I don't know about the 2 lads from Watford if they did get relegated. I'm not too sure, but I always remember Joey Barton. And Joey Barton had been relegated twice with Newcastle and once with QPR. And I'm thinking, why would somebody want to go and buy him? Leroy Fer at Swansea. I'm not criticising these players, but this is what you've got to look at sometimes, is that, if you ever get yourself into that situation, they've never got out of it. They've always gone down.
Yeah.
So I am a little bit worried, I must admit. Yeah. Our back four is not good enough for the Premiership. And then the quality of midfield's not good enough either.
Yeah. And on that sad note, Kevin, I just want to thank you ever so much. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you ever so much. This last just hour has put a smile on my face because of my childhood. Take me back to my childhood, I tell you. And you were one of my heroes, and you still will be. Thank you ever so much, Kev. Much appreciated.
No problem. Thank you.
You take care. And cheers to Everton surviving anyway. Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Cheers, pal.